Hello, everyone, and welcome back to All Things Fantasy. I'm your host, Zinjia, and I'm a fantasy writer, illustrator, artist, and musician, and also a wife and mother to 7 kids and a beautiful husband of almost 15 years. So, today we will be talking about something really awesome. But if you actually haven't been to my channel before, here we actually talk about things that are all things fantasy. Anything that's related to fantasy, whether it be literary form of media, um, art, or film, etc. So anything that's all things fantasy, all of that. So today we're going to be talking about how to manifest, create your own fantasy creature from scratch. Fantasy creatures, whatnot. Not necessarily something that it's been inspired from, I don't know, Greek mythological. It could be, but then it may not be something that's, in the well-known creature universe of what people would say, like werewolves. Werewolves. My mind just went blank. Oh, werewolves. Any type of minotaurs, any type of unicorns, any type of minotaurs, satyrs, fawns that you would actually be able just to kind of pull out of your Greek mythological back pocket. And I want to insert that into my fantasy series or my film, whatnot. And if especially if it's been overdone, like oversaturated types of characters, overdone types of character tropes, that sort of thing. You want to get away from that. You want to push away from that, and I'm here to help you out with that. And how do I create my own fresh new characters? 5 reasons and ways that you would be able to do that. Number one, how do we do that? So you're looking for some fresh new characters for your film, your fantasy series, your book. I don't know, your art book. You are actually drawing some illustrations, that sort of thing, whatnot. Because I do that as well. I am a fantasy illustrator. And you just really don't want to use someone else's, like a werewolf. You don't want to use a vampire. You don't want to use a hybrid, werewolf, vampire, that sort of thing. Those characters have been well overdone, and some people tend to be over them. Some people really like using them, but repackaging them in a way that is fresh and is exciting, and it's, wow, I like this. So one of the ways you could actually, first way of creating a fresh new character is really just kind of like writing a list. You get your sketchbook out, you get your notebook out, whatnot, laptop, whatever you want to use, and you write a list of particular types of eccentricities that this character would have. What type of their character traits, the behavior, what they look like. Those are very important, and I'm going to tell you, this is going to be like a long list. So not only are they going to have their eccentricities of their personality traits, behavior, what they look like. Most importantly, what is the origin of where they come from? Where is the origin where this creature would come from? Now, if this is a urban fantasy novel that you are writing, most often than not, the urban fantasies are going to take place on our planar dimension of where we are now, our modern age. That's more or less what urban fantasies tend to do. They're not like an epic fantasy of an outer or another dimension. Urban fantasies tend to be on our planar level of Earth dimension. So you would actually place the origin, write down the origin of where this character comes from, the origin, where it was, what it looks like, personal character traits. That is going to really help you be able to get to our step 2 that we're going to be talking about. Writing down the origin. For example, I was happened to be in Barnes and Noble with my kids about a couple weeks ago, and we were in the kids section and we're looking at these really awesome fantasy mythology books. I was anyway. I love fantasy mythology books, illustration wise, beautiful illustration books. And this is one a few books I was picking up of Monsterology. I don't know if you actually know the Ology series. If you guys are fantasy fans, all the Ology film, the series are absolutely incredible, and they're a very big fan of. And so, out of the Monsterology, but there was this one particular creature called the cockatrice, and I'm like, wow! We own chickens. We have like about 40 chickens and here at our farm ranch, and we have like roosters and hens. And our roosters are just like, oh my gosh, they're just like epic. And the picture of the cockatrice actually looked a lot like our head rooster Rick, who's really beautiful. He's a gorgeous, he's a amazing, amazing rooster. And so cockatrices, I was reading about that they actually cockatrices are like supposedly mythological or mythological creatures, mythological creatures. And which we all know that mythology is actually going to be closer to the truth than our perceived truth that is given to us. They hail from the Middle Eastern region, in the Israeli, Judea, Jordan area, and that's their origin. That's where they come from. And so, when you're writing these, you're trying to like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what to write. These are the things that you're writing down. You're going to have like a long list, 20 to 30 types of what they look like, their personality traits, what not. So, for your second reason, and or how to actually create your monster fantasy creature, is you are going to take your list of what you have, and if you happen to be an artist, whatnot, so you're going to take those specificities of all of those character traits in the whatnot that you've actually put onto for your list, and if you happen to be an artist, or if you're not an artist, whatnot, I think some of us have, if you say that, oh, I'm not an artist, I don't know how to write, you have some type of capability of actually getting your point across by just simply doodling. That's okay too. But if you don't, you can always hire an artist, or you can actually go to one of these particular like AI type of websites that can conjure or manifest your image into what you're talking about. I will tell you right now, I am not a big fan of any AI. I'm just not. AI websites. I personally don't like using it. I know I tried using it, and I think it's just a ball of junk. I can do far much better in the time that it takes for you to actually input your words, whatnot, and you're just on there for hours and hours. Just kind of, it just does, they're not, I'm sorry, AIs are just robotic, digital form of an entity, and they're not real human beings, and so that it's a very short maintenance capability of what they're able to do. My opinion, may not agree with that. However, that said, if you in fact do not want to hire an artist, if you do not want to actually even spend the time doodling whatnot, that's something that is an option and alternative that you can do. And so you take those like your listings and you're able to kind of put that in to the source to see what they're going to look like, just to get the full manifestation. You're asking me, why do I want to know what they look like? Well, because you're unifying all of those physical traits, and you're unifying all of those ideas that you put into your list, so that when you write them down in your book, your series, in your screenplay, whatnot, if you're writing a film, you will have a full manifested picture of who they are, a living, breathing creature of, yes, a living, breathing creature that is tangible, that is tactile, that is nothing, something that's just not like some kind of like one-dimensional type of like flimsy type of thing that just that has no substance. This is something that you want to do. You can also, as an alternative, use Pinterest to actually play around with your keywords browser and just try different like keywords of particular types of things that you're looking for. So that's number two. Number three, manifesting and creating something first. Now, instead of like if that's for number one, and for the first two, those are options if you want to create something completely something fresh that no one's probably ever seen before. It can be from an inanimate object. It can be from something that's a tree, whatnot. Um, it's a really interesting way of creating something that's really interesting. So the third way of doing this is you can actually, and this is something that Leonardo da Vinci did just an amazing, amazing job. I mean, he was just a master of doing this. He created caricatures. Caricatures are a really awesome way of creating and manifesting a creature type of entity. Whatnot is that he would look at people and he would, sketch people out, interesting people, and that have like these really interesting, like dynamic, dramatic features. And he would take the particular feature of this person who was kind of like a little bit grumpy, or they kind of look like this, or their expression that they usually make on their face that was just like a sample expression on their face would go like this, or they'd go like this, or goes with the big eyes. He would take those particular that expression, like say, for example, a person that kind of looks like this, or maybe that's a little bit too like like this, kind of like your eyes going up, whatnot. He would take those eyes and emphasize them, and just make these like big droopy eyes, and that would become like their caricature of who they were. And that's what just really interesting, or just like something that this is someone just like this, they look like this. You take the teeth, or like just make these like a side profile. And so you come across all of these different types of characters. And where can you find photos of people? You can actually take your own photos of different people, whether they're you take public transportation, you're on the bus, you're in the park, you're walking down the street. This is something that you can actually do, and you just create a portfolio of different types of people with making different types of like faces, making expressions, and you go into back to number one and make those characteristics of write down what's coming out of that person, what's drawing out of that person, what are their eccentricities, and how can I, if they have like a really goofy grin, they could be a particular type of a creature that their teeth are just like enormous, and that opens the door, opens the opportunity to create this amazing narrative of this creature entity that has these really big teeth and whatnot, and they have these, I know, you can create like this crazy type of hair, whatnot. Where would this creature live? What would this creature do? What is the backstory of this creature? Who are they? What is their language? What is their ethnology? What's the study of how they got from point A to point B? What are their magic systems? What type of magic systems do they have? Do they have a supernatural type of system versus a magic system, which is what I will actually get into in the latest video about that. I'm really excited about making that. These were something, I mean, the caricatures, I think, I want to tell you this, I think the characters is actually one of my favorite ways of creating fresh new creatures because you're able to, it's easy. You don't have to mess around with AI, looking on Pinterest and AI and doodling and just kind of struggling. You go outside in surroundings and you take your pictures of really interesting people and you draw from that. So, for number one, you are taking a listing, a catalog listing of particular just kind of brainstorming what these characters look like, what their character traits and all of those things, whatnot, what they speak, and da 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 da. Option number one. Option number two is that, and this is actually tied to number one. You take your character traits and you go to town on either like I said, Pinterest, or you doodle them out yourself according to all the traits in the catalog listings that you've written down, and you create them on paper or on computer, whatnot, with your Photoshop, what have you. Option number three, you actually get your camera, your iPhone, go outside and creating caricatures of people. So how you do this, you go out, you take pictures, several, like I'm talking about at least 100 to 200 a day. And with that, I think you would probably have like maybe a DSLR camera, or if you have a 256 gigabyte, on your iPhone, whatnot, please go do that. Take as many pictures as possible of people in candid photos, walking down the street, catching them just talking, whatnot. Making sure that you take pictures of really interesting people, different, creeds, cultures, skin tones, what have you. So you're able to, when you come home, you can actually really take the time looking at those pictures, their expressions, whatnot, and emphasizing on the physical characteristic, their physiognomy, the particular part of the physiognomy that really stands out, and emphasize on that. And from there, you're building this whole entire galaxy of this person, whole entire galaxy of this creature, background, whatnot. So there you go. Number four, alternative option for number four. So if you actually don't really want to create, I don't want to take the time and go through and creating something out from scratch and completely ground zero. Number four, you can be do a hybrid, creating creatures, fantasy creatures from a hybrid source, meaning you're going to your Greek mythology books or your Greek mythology, like, encyclopedia, the picture illustration encyclopedia. There's one book that's really amazing. It's really popular. The Things That Never Were. Amazing book. I'm pretty sure you can actually get it on Amazon for nothing now, because it came out in the 90s and it's the go-to manual. It's like a big Bible codex book of just creatures, and you can go there, take that, and use that. All of these, mythological creatures that are there, these monsters, whatnot, fairy beings, that sort of things, and you take that, whether they be a fae, blue fairy, whether they be, oh my goodness, they could be what do you call them? The wingars thing. Oh gosh, I can't remember the thing. They're like these antelope, these elks that are a lot of Native American indigenous people there, of course. But at any rate, take any one of these, and you are going to create a hybrid. You're not going to be exactly like the fae, or a mountain fae, or a blue, fae, or whatnot, or a forest fairy, woodland nymph. They're not going to be like this, your atypical creatures, but you're going to actually come and make a hybrid of that, modify your figure, modify your entity, modify them that's going to be suitable to your story, suitable to your world building, your world. It's going to benefit that, because you just don't want to copy and paste. You don't ever want to do that, because who wants to do that? That's just not going to be interesting. No copy and pasting, but you are going to formulate that, modify that, to making it far much more different than, cutting and pasting. You just go into it and modify that and creating and it also depends on whether you're going to do an epic fantasy. If you are writing an epic fantasy, if you're writing an urban fantasy, if you're writing I don't know, a dark fantasy, if you're writing an Odyssey fantasy, whatnot. It just really depends what type of fantasy you're writing because you just want it really nicely modified, melding into your world. So that's number 4. Number 5. Not yet, baby. Can you hold on just a second? I'm doing my video. I'll be right back. Over. Okay, so number 5. Number 5, our last one. So, what other option? Well, a typical option, how to create your own creature, your own mythological creature. Well, my goodness, use your imagination. So, I mean, I guess you could say this is your passive aggressive type of, type. But no, use your imagination. So going about using your imagination to the point of what we haven't done in the first one, second one, third one, or fourth one, using your imagination to the point with, and this actually may be closely related to number 3 of creating caricatures, but you are using this is really, I'm really going on a limb here in saying this. Using your imagination as far as you're going blank, you're putting your pencil down, you're putting your book down, you're putting pen interest down, you're putting your camera down, and you are just putting everything down. And you are just going to, for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 days, however long it takes for you to actually get all of the unk and junk of the just media, everything, distractions out of here, your universe, your galaxy that has a bunch of stuff in that it's not supposed to be there. So you can start afresh off your imagination palette. Is 3 or 4 days, and this is like if you're really striving for something just pure and fresh. I mean, you could be actually in the midst of washing dishes, sweeping. A lot of times this comes to me. I mean, in the shower, washing dishes, sweeping, cleaning, doing laundry. I'm outside. I'm watering the garden, and it happened to be I'm looking out of the clouds, whatnot. Or you're purposely, you could actually go to the park and lay on the park and lay on the ground in the grass. Or if you actually live in the country or the rural area like I do, and you can just go where it's quiet, whatnot, undisturbed, and look at all the things that are around you. Trees, garden, not trying too hard. Don't try hard. Your garden, your trees, the clouds, things that actually there are these materialistic entities, but they are definitely connected to the earth. They're connected to the creator because they come from the creator. Natural, organic creations are really good for this. You're not trying too hard, but you just happen to, you're in your garden, you're watering your garden, you're washing dishes, or you're cooking, or cleaning, whatnot. You just happen to look at a particular form that's in the tree, particular form that's in the leaf of in your garden, on your eggplant that's growing, and your sweet potatoes or your green beans that are growing, the particular a ladybug that kind of sprouts out of or her dragonfly that's kind of coming out of the barn where the chickens are. or they're eating, like, sucking, like, be it suckling honey from the flower. I mean, and those are the precious, beautiful moments of imagination. You look up, I happen to look up a cloud, and there's this cloud that just looks like this dragon, but it looks like a mixture of a dragon and an elephant. I mean, these are the moments, the golden moments that you want to capture. And when you see them, when you capture it, please at all times have a little pad, paper, pencil with you. Um, I wouldn't necessarily, not your iPad or iPhone, but go traditional and a little, one of those little spiral iPad pencils. I used to get at the dollar store, whatnot, and get a color pencil, and you doodle it down and you write it down. You carry this at all times. Now, this is something that we'll have, like, you have to go on a media fast. This is if you really, this is something, a experiment that you really want to do. You want to train yourself to do. And it's really healthy for you to do, just to kind of flush out any type of stuff that's all the toxicity and the matter, whatnot, that this does not matter. And you want to flush this out. You want to do this maybe on a regular basis, maybe twice a month, whatnot, to flush it out. And you carry a pad just to get this down, and just to really, those are the things that matter. And that's how you can create a beautiful character, a creature, and you can build on that. So, my goodness, I hope that helps. And my goodness, I hope that was really fun for you. And if you have any questions, if there's anything that you actually may have any ideas that you would like to share in the comments below, I would love to hear them, of particular ways that you have, can create creatures in mythology, creatures from fresh or hybrid. However, what is your methodology of how you like to do this? How is exciting for you? Fantasy is fun. I love fantasy. I love, creating things and manifesting things. And so thank you so much for watching. And guys, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And I will, guys, be seeing you soon. And be blessed to have a great weekend. Bye.